My 2004 Audi A4 is slow, and despite my best efforts to make it a quicker car for autocrossing, it's still just kinda not the right car. One of the bigger drawbacks of it, besides being a boat with no power, comes from the 6-speed manual transmission that Audi equipped the A4 with.
Which brings us to today. I am on my way to Flint, Michigan on a little road trip. I found a good condition B6 S4. It's getting parted out. I'm going to snag a transmission and a couple other goodies from it. I'm doing this for kind of two big reasons. One, the transmission from an S4 has tighter gearing than the A4 transmission, the O2X that I have. The other big reason is that the OA3, the S4 transmission, is a lot stronger than the O2X, and I do still plan to engine swap this car, so I'm somewhat future-proofing myself, though I'm going to grab that and then take the 6.5-hour road trip back home. And we're back with a new transmission acquired and some other stuff, but today is all about the transmission. I've got the trans, the rear end, and axles. So this, as I said, is an OA3 transmission, which came in the later B6 S4s and the B7 S4s, and I think another OA3 came in the B7 RS4, but it had even tighter gear ratios than this. So what I have in my car right now is an O2X, which is more of a cruiser transmission and it can't handle that much power. So for autocrossing, for example, it's not very ideal. However, even though this has shorter gear ratios, I'm pretty sure first and second are still pretty similar, so it doesn't make too much of a difference there, but third and fourth are going to be tighter, so I can shift a little more often and get more out of the engine, whatever engine is in the car. Which brings me to the other reason why I got this. It holds more power, and I do still plan to engine swap this car. And the good part about going to an OA3 from an O2X 6-speed, which I have in the car right now, is a lot of it transfers over. So my crossmember, the rear axles, and the clutch, and the transmission spacer should all fit up to this transmission. So there's a lot less that needs to be changed than if I had like a 180 with a 5-speed or an automatic. So it makes a big difference, and it should make this relatively easy as far as transmission swaps go. But I have the transmission, I have axles. However, they're in a little bit worse shape than I had expected. So I have new ones on the way, and these will be donors, I guess. I also got a drive shaft and yeah, the rear end. So I'm gonna put it in the car. As you can see, I don't have a lift in my garage, so I'm going to rely on very tall jack stands. I got some 6-ton jack stands for my Q7, but I'm gonna use them for this. And just get it as high as possible and get that transmission out of there. I've already gotten the engine out once. This can't be that difficult.
I'm starting by removing the disgusting, horribly welded, by me, exhaust, and I've quickly made the decision to drop the engine and trans at the bottom instead of bench pressing 2 transmissions underneath the car. This means removing the front bumper, disconnecting everything from the engine and suspension, again, putting the car in service position, and eventually dropping the whole subframe with the engine and transmission attached. After having removed all of these things in the past, though, it really isn't that difficult of a task. Inside the car, I've got to disconnect the shifter from the chassis. I went a little further and disconnected it from the linkage too, which I don't think is totally necessary, but oh well. Then it's back under the car to get the drive shaft off of the output shaft. Out of everything, this has got to be my least favorite part of the process. 20 years of road salt and grime has really bonded these surfaces together. it came out eventually. With everything unbolted and disconnected, I can now lower the whole assembly, but not before getting a small coolant shower first. For some reason, I didn't want to use my engine hoist for this. Not really sure why. That probably would have made things easier, but it all came loose after a while. Now that the guts of the car are removed, it makes for easy separation of the transmission, but somebody forgot to remove the axle bolts, which has resulted in some, innovation. For anyone that might be doing the swap at home, the shifter rods for the O2X are different and cannot be used with the OA3. I tried. I even tried cutting and welding mine to work with it, because I just didn't have those pieces, but that was wasted effort. They don't work. So when you buy your used OA3, make sure it comes with the shifter rods, or you're going to have to try to find that unobtainium yourself. The two transmissions also use two different throwout bearings, so add that to the short list of parts you'll need to buy. Besides that, this OA3 is good and ready to go onto the engine, reusing my original transmission spacer plate. And then the whole assembly can get reinstalled. Eventually. Now onto the rear. Aside from the tough bolts holding the axles on, this actually wasn't too tough. The exterior of these two differentials is identical, so installing the new one comes with no surprises. And thanks to all the upgraded 034 components I installed in previous videos, this whole setup will be nice and secure. But one last part remains. This is what's known as a driveshaft carrier. Its purpose is to hold the driveshaft in place and maintain the driveshaft's alignment, a two-piece driveshaft. It's also there to absorb some vibrations to keep them from going from the driveshaft into the cabin of the car. The only problem is they often don't have that long of a life expectancy. They fail, they get sloppy. And the more slop that they introduce, the worse your throttle response can be, and in turn, the worse your car's performance. That's where JXB Performance comes in. This is JXB's answer to the problem, the Performance Driveshaft Carrier. This two-piece design allows me to remove the stock carrier and install the new one without even needing to remove the driveshaft at all. Granted, this would have been simpler to do while it was outside of the car, but I wanted to demonstrate just how easy it is even while under the car. I just need to cut off the old carrier frame, cut away the rubber while keeping the base layer of rubber still on there, and I can put the new one on. We also get the option of street or track bushings, which should be pretty self-explanatory. I mostly use this car for racing, so track bushings it is. Now, full disclosure, I did actually start working full-time for JXB during the process of filming this video, but I obviously wouldn't have taken that job if I didn't believe in the products and believe in the company as a whole, so take that for what you will. It is a quality product, and I'm very happy with it on the car, so you should buy one for your car, or my boss is gonna fire me. Another couple things I picked up while I was getting this transmission. Turns out that the car that I got the transmission from was the same color, but it's an S4, so we got some S4 bumpers in okay shape, or at least still a shape. To go with the bumpers, I also got a horribly sun-faded trunk lip and the much desirable S4 door blades, which were disgusting underneath. It's no surprise that these doors rust at the bottom. Now the car is just about ready to go, but of course, not without another fucking coolant leak, requiring me to take the intake manifold back off and the rear crossover pipe to replace some bad O-rings and question my life choices. Eventually, I'm able to put the car back on its own wheels for the first time since August and see if this even worked. And great news, it works. After all that hard work, the transmission works exactly as it should. It does feel maybe a little bit peppier, not extremely different because again, the engine isn't very powerful, but the gearing feels great. I could definitely tell on the highway in like 6th gear, it was obviously a higher ratio or higher RPM, which I mean, the only problem there is gas mileage, but I'm not hyper-miling this thing anyway. But yeah, it drives great, 1st through 6th, everything feels good. It doesn't really feel like it's any sort of a different transmission. Somewhere in between taking the engine and transmission out and putting it back in, I messed up a steering angle sensor and some other stuff, so I've got like every light on the dash lit up, but that's not from changing the trans. It fits as it should, and it's kind of nice. I really appreciate how these old Audis are kind of like Legos, not to the caliber of like Hondas or Subarus, but you can still kind of piece things together how you like, which is nice. So it drives great, it feels strong, and now the car is future-proofed for when I put more power to it. So really happy about that. This was a long process. I'm here at Road America to do autocross again. I feel like like 2 videos ago I was here doing the same thing. So I'm glad that it's finally back on the road and I was able to drive it 2 hours here from my house. So it's a good sign. But anyway, I'm just gonna enjoy the car and race it today and see how it goes. If you noticed at the beginning of this video, I was in shorts and it was warm because it was July and now it's February. So it was a long process to get here. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.